Welcome back. You may know our guest author this morning for his opinionated presence on various social media platforms. But as an author, Khaya Dlanga has successfully released books such as In My Arrogant Opinion and To Quote Myself under his name. While he's now back with yet another light-hearted and brutally honest book titled These Things Really Do Happen to Me, where he shares some of the most embarrassing, joyful, hilarious moments he's encountered from childhood up until now. Well, Khaya joins us in studio to tell us more about his latest offering. It's great to have you on Morning Love.
Thank you.
I just want to laugh because already for someone who follows you on social media, I know some of the most hilarious stories that you share. And one has to ask themselves whether these things really did happen or if this is just fiction.
They really did happen. There are quite a lot that I could have put in, but I'm like, I think it's okay. There are some that are off limits.
But why you? Do you ever ask yourself this? Because
no, but I think that it's not because just me. I think the difference is I just happen to collect my stories and I tell them. Because all these things actually happen to everybody. I just write mine. This is the only difference. Okay,
great. Yeah. So this book, why did you want to put these stories together and share them with everyone who cares to pick up your book?
It was quite interesting because whenever I used to write like maybe a long caption on Instagram about something that had happened, and people would always say that, oh, I wish this story was a little bit longer. I wish it could just go on for a bit more. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'll take a lot of the stories that I've never told and just put them in a book and just give them and make them a little bit longer. And also one of the reasons the book is so, there's so many stories and some of them very short, is because I really wanted to get people who want to read but are too lazy to read. So when you read the stories, you find yourself halfway without realizing that.
So it could be potentially pages and pages of blurbs, some long, some short, or not really.
Well, they're longer than just blurbs, but they're short enough for someone who is too lazy to read, to enjoy.
All right.
Yeah.
I love the title of the book.
Yes.
When I first saw it, I thought, okay, friends in high places, friends that rate what we do. Talk to us about that. It's really unusual for a book cover.
Oh, you mean the Instagram page thing?
Yes.
Well, I spoke to a friend of mine, not Trevor.
Yes,
No. It's Jonathan Goliath, actually.
Okay.
I asked him to design the cover for me. And he came up with the concept, and I was like, I love the idea. So we end up with it. And then, I'd asked Trevor to write the short quote for my book, and I didn't want to have it at the back. And I thought that this Instagram design was a perfect opportunity for it to be to be put out there as a comment, as opposed to having it at the book.
Started on the gram, now we're here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just some of, without giving too much away, it's some of the topics or themes that are carried out in your book through your stories.
There's one story where I write about how I fell asleep next to President Thabo Mbeki while he was speaking.
How rude.
I know. Long story why that happened. And I also there are parts who actually write about like serious issues like, being a black professional, in a working environment. And I also write about how, there was a girl who, my first kiss, for example, and how awkward that was. So there are lots of really...
Is there anyone that's your favorite or really touches your heart?
It's very difficult for me to say which is my favorite story because, some are really funny and some of them are quite... some people found them moving. So I've had people commenting saying that, they're on a flight, the one moment they're crying, the one moment they're laughing, and they think that, maybe the person next to them thinks that they're bipolar because they're just going through so many different emotions. But I don't have one particular story. But I do think that this is my favorite book, although I know that for a lot of people, I would probably find To Quote Myself maybe a lot more interesting for them. But for me, this is my favorite. It's my most fun book, let me put it that way.
All right. And what do people say to you when they meet you? Do you find that they want to delve more into the stories that they've read and they want to just have one big laugh or tell you how a particular story has maybe changed their lives? There's a story I know that changed my life. When you spoke about how you were unemployed or still studying, but you were homeless, and how you've been able to just make it? What do people say to you when they meet you?
Wow, they talk about lots of different things. Interestingly enough, from my previous book, they want to talk a lot about my mother, which is very interesting.
She features quite prominently.
Yeah, yeah. So they really want to talk a lot about my mother, and literally, and then maybe like how did I, get myself out of that situation when I was homeless. But mostly they really want to talk about my mother, and they say maybe I should write a book about her. So I'm like, we'll see.
Well, they like your mother, I like your grandmother. Let's talk about where people can find this book and what the future holds for you as an author.
Okay, well, exclusive books, Bargain Books, CNA, takealot.com. You can literally find it anywhere. And then in terms of what's next, I don't know. Maybe I could write a book of fiction. That's if I manage to convince my publisher, and maybe about my mother. So I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't thought much about what I'm going to write about next.
All right, Khaya, thank you so much for being here. Thanks so much for your time. All the best.
Thank you very much.
That was Khaya Dlanga speaking to us about his latest offering, saying that, when people meet him on the road, they really just genuinely want to speak about his mom. So maybe that's a book that's on the cards where he'll explore his relationship with his mom being raised by this woman, or maybe he'll just, write fiction, right? Sims, let's go back to you on the main anchor desk. What do you have for us? All right, well, speaking to us about his third book titled These Things Really Do Happen to Me, social media guru and author Khaya Dlanga. If you want to get yourself a copy of the book, it is available at major bookstores around the country as well as online. You can also send us some of the books that you are reading or have read, and by doing that, you can find yourself joining us here live in studio for our Sunday book review feature to talk about some of your favorite books. All you have to do is drop us an email, check us out on Instagram, or tweet us a picture and relevant caption of your pick of the week, must read for 2018, your current read, and the one you were hoping was going to be great but perhaps turned out to be rather disappointing. Use our social media platforms. We are at Morning Live SABC. On Twitter, find us on Facebook rather, we are Morning Live, and on Instagram it is at Morning Live SABC. Our email address is morninglive@sabc.co.za. All right, let's go back to the main desk where Cynthia is standing by.